Hey everybody, how's it going? My name's Coley. Welcome back to another episode of The Green Room. Today, I'm a little frustrated, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't even intend on really recording this video, because I've just been really busy doing stuff on the main channel, and I'm gonna be in the speedrun marathon soon, and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm just kind of frustrated. This video I've been working on for like, I don't know, almost half a year at this point, which I didn't think it would. I thought it would only take like 2 months, but that's not how it works. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, on my main channel, I did this like mod challenge thing, and now I am trying to make the video the best that it could be after trying to beat this mod for a month. And today I kind of hit a bit of a snag. Like I thought I finally made a great step forward yesterday, but then today as I'm trying to get things to work and film some extra things, it's just not working out. It just seems like I always run into a new problem, a new hurdle. Just nothing ever seems to just go my way sometimes, you know? I mean, everybody feels that way, but like, I'm just kind of sick of like always having a hurdle to jump through, which is usually not how I am. I feel like usually I'm very like driven to jump over hurdles and stuff like that. Like I try and always keep like an optimistic face about me, but I don't know, maybe it's just a today thing or just as recording it, but you know, I'm just sick. I'm sick of failing, I guess. I'm sick of there always being something to stub my toe on. Like it just hurts in the moment and it fades away after a while, but it just keeps happening over and over again to where it's like, could this I would really rather this not happen like for like a day. For like a day, you know what I mean? Sure, I've had things succeed and go my way quite a few times before, but I mean, those don't sting as much. Those never seem to sting as much for people. It's very short-lived, but the failures can really stay in your heart for a lifetime kind of thing. You think you're gonna get something done in a week? I've learned at this point that it takes me double the amount of time I ever think it takes to get something done. You know, like it'll take me a week. No, it's gonna take me 2 weeks. It's gonna take a month. It'll take 2 months. Heck, if I think it'll take 2 months, it'll take 4 at least. You know, there's just always something getting in the way, and I don't know. These aren't like the happiest of times, I guess. Like I'm in my mid-20s, so I don't know. This just it feels like there could be a lot of gravity to my actions and things like that, and I kind of wonder if I'm on like the right path, or like if this is like something I should be pursuing, or if I should be pursuing something else. I don't know the meaning of my life yet, I guess, which I think is normal for people. If you really even need to find like the meaning, I guess it could be there probably is multiple meanings to a life, but and when you're in the midst of like a little failure spell like I am, it can be hard to think a little further ahead and know that like better times are to come, and you know, like the work that I'm putting on will be worth it. I don't know how yet. I don't know if the video I'm making will even succeed and be good, or maybe it's just I'll learn something from making it and it'll do terribly like numbers wise, but that's just kind of the thoughts I feel like you gotta have when you're trying to do something difficult and like push through to find or to follow like your dream, I guess. Recently, this was sort of like a weird miraculous thing to happen to me. I don't know if anybody knows who this is, but there's a Zelda speedrunner out there, and he's like one of the most popular ones. So his name is Linkus, and as of recording this, he's doing like this subathon, right? And I haven't really watched him. I don't even follow him on Twitch, but like his Twitch channel was just like recommended to me. Like I was doing some work on this video, and it was recommended to me, and I was like, I don't know, I'll just click on it, I guess, you know, just get some background noise in there, and it just so happened that when I clicked on his stream, he was telling essentially his like life story in regards to like becoming a content creator like he is today, which, you know, that's something that I kind of aspire. So it was very like, whoa, like this just fell into my lap. And I actually saved that whole like part of the VOD because it was so impactful. But that guy had so many failures that it was nuts. Like he would always have something really good happen, and then immediately something terrible happened. So I might get some of these examples wrong, but like there was a time where like he got a really good speed run of Luigi's Mansion, the first game he ever ran, but then it couldn't get accepted because everybody thought he was cheating. Then You know, he got really good times in like Wind Waker, and he was growing very like successful and gaining numbers and stuff like that. But then somebody became jealous of him and just started like doxing him and doing terrible things to him. You know, he finally got to like the big speedrun main events and stuff like that, but then like his viewership didn't last, and he almost had to move in back with his parents, and he was like digging into his savings account and stuff like that. A real story of like resilience. And there's something strange about resilience to me, is that when you're seeing somebody who's resilient in the moment, you call them a fool, like you call them stupid. But I feel like if you look back on that resilience, you call them brave. You call them, I guess, you're inspired by them, really. And I just always thought that was interesting. I mean, take a look at the Linkus story. I mean, like, I would consider him very successful, but if you were watching him live through all these things, I bet it would be like a roller coaster. The we're so over, it's so back. And, you know, one way to avoid failure is to plan it out. Like, you make a plan so the plan, you know, everything succeeds. But it's stupid because the best time to make a plan that works perfectly would be after you've already done the thing you want to do. Because then you would know how to do everything and you know how it would all go, and then there wouldn't be a failure. So it sucks that when you have to make the plan is when you know the least, so that means the most failures can happen. I think most of the time, I mean, at least what I'm feeling right now, it's all about a perception of time, I guess. Like, I feel the little failures now, but, you know, over time, it might just all look like success, you know, when I look at it in the past. I wasn't going to talk about this publicly, but I feel like I can be vague enough to where it won't be a big deal. You know, this YouTube thing isn't very easy for people to understand, especially if they're older. And I have an older relative who I look up to very much, and I love them very much. And they have helped me through so many things that I really want to succeed and show them my success. You know what I mean? So like if I could like get this YouTube thing started and really find my way with things creatively and be successful with those creative opportunities, I would be ecstatic to show them. And I have had my successes, and I've tried to show them, but they, you know, they just can't understand what YouTube is, or they can't really understand what I'm trying to do. And so I guess I kind of feel like this particular family member kind of just thinks I'm just a bum, or like that I'm not really doing all that much with my life. And I don't mean that in the sense of like they're not explicitly telling me that, but they make some remarks at me that sort of shock me, as in like I'm not on a, like I'm doing this, like this is what I'm trying to do. But you know, they're older. They're in their 90s almost. And I don't know, surprisingly sad thought came to mind was that there's this relative that I look up to so much, but they're getting up there in age, and it makes me sad that I don't think they'll ever see me succeed. I feel like when I finally get the success that I want, or the success that I'm happy with, you know, they will already be dead. I feel like it's so easy to go and say like failure, you know, failure is just attempt number one. You know, that's not true. Failure is giving up. True failure is quitting. You know, like failure is your ally and not your enemy. I just feel like it's, you know, sometimes it's so much easier to say that than actually live by those words. But don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it is important to embrace failure. It's important to, you know, look critically at yourself, but not disparagingly. I feel like one of the best things that anybody can ever do is take an honest look at life, like, and not hate yourself or think you're the best person ever, but there's a middle ground. There's a balance where you've made these mistakes, you haven't succeeded in these areas. Why? How? What can we do better next time? All this other stuff, you know? I think your relationship with failure is really important. I used to be like very afraid of failure. Now I just think it's annoying. So I guess that's a step in the right direction. But I don't know, like when I was a kid, like I never wanted to do anything that I feel like I was inherently bad at. I didn't want to put in time to like get better at something. Like the only thing I would ever do that with is like video games, but that's just because failure is really not a consequential thing in video games most of the time. But it wasn't until I was like older and I was an adult and started making choices for myself when I realized that you got to get over that fear, because then you'll just try nothing in life and get nowhere kind of thing. But and you know, today it's like, you know, I'm feeling one of those poopy days where I'm just like, man, like this sucks. But then there's some days where you're like, you know what, dude, I'm king of the hill right now. You know, I got my WD-40 and propane. I succeeded. Like, we got this, dude. You gotta have hope, you know? You can't live off hope, but you gotta have hope. Hope is like it's like a jump start, you know? That can give you motivation, that can give you purpose. But, you know, then you need to you need to really think about like your discipline and your seriousness and everything, so you can push forward and do what you want to do. If, you know, you have great big goals, not everybody has to have that, you know? I was actually going to make a whole other episode about this on the Green Room at one point, but I think I'll just talk about it now. I feel like people in Generation Z, which I don't even really like people classifying themselves as generations. You're your own person. Everybody is different. We don't need to put everybody in the same boat, okay? But I just feel like everybody that's like in their 20s, maybe even in their 30s, you know, younger, older, whoever, they're looking for hope. They're looking for like the purpose in it all. You know, we see so much negativity. We see wars and conflicts and the economy, and people just can't get a job after they graduate college. You know, inflation's high. You know, it seems like preparing for your future is almost like, it's like the most bitter pill you could ever swallow. And I feel like people are looking for hope, you know? But I feel like hope, or what you're looking for on the outside, is actually on the inside. Like I feel like a lot of people are waiting for something external to come and be like, hey, let's do this, let's go. Or hey, you applied, you're accepted, let's go, you're in now. I don't know, you always want what you don't have. And I think for thousands of years, philosophy has at least come to some agreement that it's all about your perspective of life to you, you know? Like, it's about how you view life. How you view life is how you're going to get through life effectively. That's what I'm trying to say. But I think you need to, and to help like change your perspective and stuff like that, take a look at it like this. You know, you can view the way the world that it is, right? But let's use this example. Have you ever looked at a tree before? Like, you take, like, normally, you know, when you're driving, you're walking wherever, you're like, oh, look, there's a tree, you know? Especially now that, at least when recording this, it's fall, you know? So the autumn leaves, you might notice that. But have you ever, like, really looked at a tree? Like really locked in and looked at a tree? Like, the bark has so many deep grooves. They're like canyons, and the leaves have, like, it's almost like its own, like, skin and veins to it. There's, like, a whole other world going on in that little tree. And it's, you know, whatever you engage with becomes engaging. That's a book, it's from a book called On Becoming an Artist, I think, by Ellen something. I should probably look up that name, but I'm too lazy. But it's a great book. You know, I feel like how you view life is how you engage in life. And how you engage in life is how you perceive life. And so, you know, I mean, I started this video kind of being all like mopey, like, oh, you know, failure this, blah, 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 everything sucks. You know, the more that I'm talking about it, the more I'm like, you know what? It's gonna be okay, man. It's just one day. It's just one day. And you know, you've ran into your failures before, and sure, like the things that I'm trying to do and maybe you're trying to do, they're taking a long time, but guess what? You take it the grand scheme of things. You know, as like Lao Tzu says, I think he's the guy who wrote like Tao Te Ching, you know, every journey begins with a single step. And, you know, along the path, there's going to be little potholes and nooks and things that you're going to trip over. And maybe right now you just tripped one time and you scraped your knee again and you never like it. But, you know, think about how far up the steps you already are, you know? I mean, heck, even being alive is part of that path. You know what I mean? Like, we're the only living beings in the universe at the moment. I mean, there's probably like E.T. somewhere with his phones in his homes, but like that in itself is a miracle. And I feel like if you look at the world with this, you know, mentality, this awe, this engagement, like you can really help perceive things a little bit differently, including failure, which I feel like this is not a video about failure anymore. I mean, just talking through this, I found, I feel like my spirits have already been lifted a little bit, you know? Like, it's all about, it's the very first video I ever put on this channel besides the welcome thing. It's like, you know, it's all about how you perceive things, man. And you know, it feels like a really grandiose thing or like, oh my God, again, but it's just a little misstep, you know? I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of rambling on, but I don't even know if there's really a moral to this video. I kind of just wanted to vent a little bit, really, get my ideas out there. I mean, it's hard to really have an answer for this kind of thing, you know? I feel like a rule that I unintentionally follow is, if you start something, then don't quit, you know? That can really bring in the sunk cost fallacy of things, but, well, what are you gonna do? So, anyway, I don't know. I hope this video meant anything. I kind of just rambled this video, but I mean, that's sort of the point of this channel, I guess. I should probably do this more, really. I guess I just, you know, feel more obligated to make it a little more cleaned up. But I don't know, if anybody has something to say in the comments, feel free to say something, you know? I don't know. YouTuber brain comment things, nobody cares. I'm rambling. Have a good one, guys. Hopefully we'll weather this storm. And maybe I'll post more frequently. Bye.